Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right!
Howdy, howdy, it's Devil here, and welcome to another game with the Dwarfs versus High Elves featuring a wizard lizard. But a wizard lizard who you've seen on the channel before playing the Dwarfs brilliantly in this game is playing the High Elves. So one of the things that I really did like when I was training with Aurora Boss is I did play the factions that I don't normally play to try, and it actually helped me learn about the Dowie quite a bit. So this is, I think, an instructive game in terms of learning a lot about the Dowie from the perspective of a dwarf main who is playing the High Elves here. So this dwarf build is really interesting. It's super elite build. We've got the Peak Gate Guard and 3 hammers, 1, 2, 3, and we've got the Norgaling's Iron Breakers and 2 other Iron Breakers, 1, 2, and we have 2 Trollhammer Torpedoes, and we do have a Rune Lord on his mount, which gives the extra 15% magic resistance map wide, and he does have the new Master Rune of Wrath and Rune, 3 charges, 38 seconds, minus 72% speed, minus 72% charge speed. So super elite build from the Dowie player here. Now for a wizard lizard, he has 2 Illyrian Reavers, both in the forest, 1 here, 1 over here. He has himself 1 group of Swordmasters of Hoeth, again hidden in the forest, and 1 High Mage hidden in the forest. And this High Mage is actually pretty loaded up with spells. He has the Starwood Staff for the great increase to power reserves. He does have the Book of Hoeth for the power recharge rate, the Fiery Convocation for the magic damage, Soul Quench, which is a magic missile, which we are going to see quite a bit in this. Hand of Glory, 40 reload skill plus 26 melee attack, and Apotheosis for the heals. He also does have Shield of Sapphire, so every time he casts map-wide 11% damage resistance. And for his leader, he actually has Teclis, yep, and Teclis has a pretty solid load of spells as well. So he has a Sword of Teclis for 44 melee attack, 60% armor. He does have Bound Fiery Convocation, so he does have 2 uses of that. He has a Potion of Chiroi, which is 44% damage resistance and replenishes his hit points. He does have Regrowth for the heals, Enfeebling Foe, minus 26 melee defense, minus 26 melee attack, which is quite strong. Chain Lightning, and he does have the Net of Amontok and Greater Arcane Conduit, and every time he casts is a Shield of Sapphire, 11% damage resistance map wide. For his main force here, he has the Sisters of Avalorn, which do magic damage but are also armor piercing. Now these guys all have 40% magic resist, so that's pretty big. Like if you look with that extra 15%, they start with 25. They're all at 40% magic resist, which is huge. So I don't know if the armor piercing gets negated at 40% or not, but we'll get to see. And 2 normal archers without armor piercing. They do have that 180 range, which is really good. For his main line, he has 2 spearmen and 4 white lines of trace, with the Pure Company being one of them. So, first of all, just wanted to note really quick, if you look, because a wizard lizard plays the Dowie, he knows how the dwarfs play. He's actually set himself up protected from cannon fire. You can see he's got things hidden, and he sort of created this 400-meter space so that even if there were, let's say, a couple cannons right here and here, he would start out of range. And otherwise, his really valuable targets would be hidden. So this is what sort of a veteran move for a dwarf player, but I thought it's really fascinating. It's really neat to see dwarf mains playing against the Dowie, because they always start like this. They always start really taking a lot of care where to line up. And what's weird is players who don't main the Dowie or don't even play the Dowie at all often don't start their battles like this. They might start close enough, or really they might start in range because they want to rush the Dowie. So they don't think about how they're actually going to deploy. They just want to get there really fast. So anyways, we're going to start this going. And It's going to be pretty straightforward for the dwarfs. Really, he just wants to start pushing forward, and a wizard lizard. Really, he just wants to get forward. You can see right away he's already picked his target. He's going to be going for the peak gate guard. So he's going to try and get that early damage on the peak gate guard again, also from the Sisters of Avalorn, and focus one unit right here. You can see Teclis is coming out. He's sort of figuring out where he's going to go, and we do have the Illyrian Reavers out here. He's not moving forward his main force though. You can see here comes the shots, and there's gonna be a vortex spell here. It's going to get a little damage on the Norgorlian's Ironbreakers, but not a whole lot. They do have magic resist, and it doesn't really hit. Really, not very powerful. Now, right here, you start seeing the dwarf player. I would say starts making the first real mistake. He's taking his peak gate guard off to the side, and he's going to separate his army into two sections right down here, and Wizard Lizard is really going to take advantage of that. So I want to note when you watch this, because this is important. The reason I like looking at these games is it's important to know how to be careful with these types of builds and how not to get pulled apart. It is really hard not to get pulled apart too, by the way. But we're gonna watch this. So the peak gate guard is actually taking quite a bit of damage. And these Sisters of Avalorn are going to be in range pretty soon. I think, are they going to shoot here? Okay, so here comes the Iron Drakes, Trollhammer torpedoes. One volley into these archers, they're going to do a ton of damage, and they're going to keep. So Wizard Lizard's like, nope, I don't want any piece of that, and he's going to start pulling back and getting off onto that other side. So right now you can see the dwarf player is kind of pushing into the woods with his peak gate guard, and he's got his hammers and he's got his Iron Drakes over here. He still hasn't seen the Swordmaster of Hoeth, I don't think, or the Illyrian Reavers. Maybe he's seen the Swordmaster of Hoeth now, but in come the shots from the Sisters of Avalorn. They have plus 60 reload skill. Oh, really? That's really. I never did notice that the first time. I've watched this about 3 times, and so they're going to get some shots in, but they're not doing a ton of damage. That 40% magic resistance sort of negating the armor piercing. But already, you can see these peak gate guard are really getting offside, and they're getting out of support. They're still barely in support range of the Iron Drakes, but these guys are out of range, are starting to get out of range too, and you're seeing the split develop, which is absolutely... which you absolutely got to be really, really cognizant of when you're playing the Dowie, is you don't want to do that. Now here, this is something I want to see. This is the high mage. Whenever these mages go to you sideways, they're getting ready with a missile. So he has 69 models. He has 40% magic resist on the peak gate guard, and he's casting this missile spell. So I just want to show this because this... and he's going to turn sideways. So 69 models. You're going to see this go in here. And it's not as good as Amber Spear, but look at that. Look at that health. Instantly. 19 models gone. And that's at 40% magic resist. So this, what is that spell called? If you're watching and you see someone with the Soul Quench, magic missiles, be wary of it. And anytime you see these freaking mages, they're trying to get around and get perfectly sideways. What they're trying to do is shoot down your line like this. So you really got to be aware of that. So he's continuing to get shots into the hammers here, but now this is really starting to go badly for the Dowie, because he's got everything out here. Now this Iron Drakes, Trollhammer torpedoes, I get it. He's trying to get onto this mage. The mage is just trying to pull out, but in come these Swordmasters of Hoeth now. They want to take this engagement with the peak gate guard, and very, very soon he's going to get the Illyrian Reavers, and he's going to go straight for these Iron Drakes, because these Iron Drakes are now, effectively out of range of the Iron Breakers and the 2 hammers. So in come the Swordmasters of Hoeth. The dwarf player's like, okay, I'm going to bring my hammers in to help my peak gate guard actually to try and win this fight. but you can see that we just do not have the speed to cover, and he doesn't have any cannons, doesn't have any long-range things, doesn't have any gyrocopters to support this engagement. So when you don't have that cross support, you really got to be super careful about getting pulled apart like this. So in come the Swordmasters of Hoeth. You can see Teclis is coming here to try and get into the back, and this is where you start to see something that a Wizard Lizard talked about when we had a bit of a chat on this game. No one, it seems like people talk about using cavalry and things like that for their kiting units. No, it seems like no one, but except for dwarfs, realize that even infantry can kite the dwarfs. These Iron Drakes have 26 speed, hammers 28 speed. Norlemming's Ironbreakers, 26 speed. These archers got 36 speed. The White Lions of Shrey's got 33 speed. So a Wizard Lizard's like, okay, I don't want to fight this yet, so I'm just gonna sort of back off. And he does not have to take this engagement, because he can just back off. And what that is doing, it's further separating these two units. In here, you've got the Peak Gate Guard. They have Enfeebling Foe. You can see they're at 31 melee attack and 17 melee defense. They're getting beat down by the Swordmasters of Hoeth. The Hammers are still getting shot by the Sisters of Avalorn. Here, the mages supporting, and we've got the Illyrian Reavers charging right into the Iron Drakes, Trollhammer torpedoes, and here we go. I mean, that's 900 gold, 1,500 gold, 1,100 gold. You're 3,500 gold, and it's been completely isolated from the rest of the army. And meanwhile, over here, the Wizard Lizard is just backing away, and what he's trying to do is isolate these Trollhammer torpedoes. Wizard Lizard is Trollhammer torpedoes do a massive amount of damage. So Wizard Lizard is like, okay, I'm going to try and get to these Trollhammer torpedoes. The dwarf player does see that, and he turns around, and he hits him with the Master Rune of Wrath and Rune. And he's turning his Ironbreakers on. This is absolutely now gone from, okay, I'm going to catch him off guard, to getting a volley of Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes, which is really devastating to cavalry. And he's at 26 speed, and he's got some Ironbreakers coming in to get a full volley off. So a Wizard Lizard there, you can see the command is get the heck out of Dodge. Let's get these guys out, because he absolutely does not want to take a volley from these Ironbreakers, because one shot of satchel charges is really going to hurt these Illyrian Reavers. So he's moving as fast as he can to get out of here. And you can see, meanwhile, he's still got his troops. You can see they've created a little space. You can see that they've got a little bit of space here, and he's able to get some shots in with these archers. Meanwhile, he's been able to break these hammers, and he's still beating down the Peak Gate Guard, and he's come in with his mage, because so many models are gone, and he's tied up these Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes really nicely. He's actually moving his Sisters of Avalorn to shoot these Ironbreakers in the back, and he's bringing in Teclis to try and get into the back of the Ironbreakers as well. So he's like, okay, now I'm ready to take this engagement, because what he's done is, you can see he's actually pulled this apart a little bit. So he's created that little bit of space here, and you can see the Iron Drakes, they had enough range here to shoot one more volley, but they've actually switched targets and come back. And I think this is a big mistake from the dwarf player, because they got 26 speed. He couldn't catch them, but he could have got a second volley in there, and that would have at least got another 10 models, maybe 15 models, because of the explosion. That would brought him down to sort of 17 models. But he wanted to go in to get into Teclis, leave this alone, and here we go. So there are some blasting charges coming down here. The Norlemming Ironbreakers are on this side. We've got the Hammers over here going to fight Spearmen and White Lions along with the Rune Lord. These guys have not gotten any engagement right now, and he's got some White Lions in the rear to bring wherever he wants, and he's just trying to find a good place for his archers. Yeah, you can see he's just trying to post them up here so he can really support the lines from whichever way he wants. He's getting these archers over here so he can support from the side. He's shooting here. These guys, you can see they're chasing like this, again, creating that separation. He's trying to get some shots in with his troll hammers. Again, Wizard Lizard knows how powerful that is. He's trying to get the heck out of the way. And now these Illyrian Reavers are perfectly fine. Really a big wasted opportunity here from the Dowie player. I think he might even be able to route these guys with a second volley. You know, we've got blasting charges going in here, and this engagement is starting in full. But I would say that a Wizard Lizard definitely has the jump. Right, he's got everything going good there. He has been able to shatter the Peak Gate Guard here, and these guys are still routing, and now he can go up against the Trollhammer Torpedoes, and he can bring these guys in here. Now, he does have to worry about these Ironbreakers, because the Ironbreakers getting in a shot on the Sisters of Avalorn or his archers with their satchel charges is going to be very devastating, and these Iron Drakes here are pulling out to the side. And now you can see they're coming this way. Now he sees the Illyrian Reavers is going to shoot like this. So we're going to just watch a little bit of this action. So he's going to change his target, and he's going to try and get into the rear here, and you can see they're going to change back to try and shoot. They're going to get some shots in. Wow, they're so devastating, but he does get a charge in. Now, they don't have armor piercing, so they're not going to do a whole lot of damage to those Iron Drakes, even though they don't have charge defense against large. So they're trying to kind of get through, and meanwhile, Wizard Lizard has been able to manage this. These guys are all taken care of. He really does have to watch these hammers. They are going to rally. These Iron Drakes, even with a few models, they are very devastating. He's trying to get in there and get some damage down. Now here, the Iron Breakers, their satchel charges are doing some damage. You know, they're getting onto the Sisters of Avalorn, they're getting onto the Swordmasters of Hoeth, they're doing some damage. And meanwhile, Wizard Lizard is still shooting into the side. He's going to try and get a nice fiery convocation here. And these Norglings Iron Breakers are getting shot up. Where is it? There we go. Decent enough fiery convocation. And meanwhile, the Spearmen and the White Lines of Trace have been routed. Now, again, these Pure Main Company are just going to kite these guys out here. Because why not? Really, like, why not isolate a Dowie force out here? So he's gonna come back, he's gonna kite him out here, and then eventually, if he wants to, he can come and kind of support. So here, these guys are gonna come and help, and he's gonna kite these guys, and he's got this engagement going here. These Iron Drakes are still fighting, and they're beating up the Illyrian Reavers. He's coming in with this High Mage, and he's trying to deal with these hammers, finish them off. He's got to get rid of these Trollhammer Torpedoes. There's 5 that are trying to come in and shoot, and they have routed again, and it looks like they're going to be shattering or not coming back, and he's definitely getting in some shots in the hammers. And now these Iron Breakers, they're nowhere near anywhere where they can actually help. They're just so far away. You can see that's get pulled apart. Now if you look, really sort of a high look, you can see the Dwarfs got 1 unit here, they have 1 unit here, they have 1 unit here, and then sort of the main fight here. And their Trollhammer Torpedoes, though, I mean, these Trollhammer Torpedoes are absolutely devastating. You can see one volley, just, man, they're so good. Like a Wizard Lizard, you know, a Wizard Lizard is trying to keep that space. Oh, and here's a massive volley to the Sisters of Avalorn. Beautiful volley by the Norgolland Iron Breakers, and they're going to charge in. You know, it's not all bad news for the Dowie because they do have the volleys, but here you can see these hammers are routed, these hammers are routed, and they've routed the fight. They've won the High Elves have won the fight here for the most part. The Rune Lord is chasing down the archers, but the archers will get away, and he's really trying to chase off these hammers and really get them off the field, and he's trying to keep on shooting into the Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes. Okay, so the Iron Drakes just want to get after this High Mage, so they're almost in range. You know, a Wizard Lizard trying to pay attention, but not paying enough attention. You know, you really got to watch the Iron Drakes. They just do so much damage. So he's getting in the back. He didn't take too much of that damage that time. He's trying to isolate those Iron Breakers, and you can see these Northernlings Iron Breakers coming after the Sisters of Avalorn. The Sisters of Avalorn will be able to kite them all day. And what that does is that allows Teclis, that allows the High Mage to kind of come in and isolate 1 unit at a time. So right now these guys are completely vulnerable to any units. You can see here, okay, they're very vulnerable. I'm going to go in and charge them and get that shot in. Boom, there goes the charge. And he can sort of pick and choose where his fights are. You know, this is why I really want to show this game, because you can see the Dowie getting pulled apart non-stop. I mean, the Dwarfs have the power to handle a lot of this pressure, but not this far apart. Not where they can't support each other. And the Dwarfs players, the Dwarfs range here, the Iron Drakes with Trauma Torpedoes was the only thing he had that was really, really devastating. And, you know, here's another Master Rune of Wrath and Rune. Okay, well now he's going to be able to catch up with the Ironbreakers. He's going to be able to catch with his Rune Lord. I think these guys are now at 26 speed. Well, he actually can't quite catch them. He can slow them down, but here comes a shot with the Iron Drakes with Trauma Torpedoes. You see they're putting in a ton of damage here. And there's actually a bug. When a unit routes, for some reason the charge speed and run speed gets messed up, and you can see these guys are now going to start. Well, maybe they're yeah, there they go. Oh no, okay, that went off at the same time. You know, this sometimes breaks, and they can just start running really, really fast when they route. So here's a High Mage. You can see he gets another volley in. A Wizard Lizard's trying to pay attention, but not quite enough. So okay, he's going to take his High Mage out, and he's got his Swordmaster's Hoeth here. He's getting shots to the Norgleman's Ironbreakers in the back. Sisters of Avalon are fighting. He's going to try and get another Fired Convocation. That is no doubt his bound one. The Dwarf player does manage to dodge that. It's going to just go right down the pipe here. And you can see, though, now it's time to consolidate and think about what we're going to do. This, now you can see here, these Iron Drakes with Trauma Torpedoes, they have support. There's Ironbreakers here. There's a Lord, there's Ironbreakers here, and now they can go to town and start shooting. He's going to try and get shots onto the High Mage. He has tons of ammo left, which is why they're so powerful. But now, really, really scary for the High Elves to try and actually get into these Iron Drakes, because the Dawi have a pocket of support. Not so easy to actually get into those Iron Drakes, and they only have 14 models, but they still do massive amounts of damage. You know, like this is like scary amounts of damage. So like maybe they're going to go after Teclis. Look at that. Getting a ton of damage there on Teclis. Now the archers are going to get in some damage. These Lyrian Reavers are coming back, and you can see the, you know, this High Mage is going to try and come back and get into the Iron Drakes. He's trying to be really sneaky. Turns around, boom, gets shot right in the face. Hey, look at that. Like, Iron Drakes are always dangerous, and now they're getting supported by this Rune Lord and by the Norgleman's Ironbreakers, and he's managed to rout the High Mage. And you can see Teclis has got the Potion of Troy. He's just going to sort of get out of dodge. He cannot stay in range of those Iron Drakes, because look at what one volley did. Yeah, he got some kills, but the Iron Drakes are still dangerous, and having support here matters. You know, you can see Wizard Lizard is bringing back here. He just saw how this fight going with the Ironbreakers and the Pure Main Company. Really, he needs to go and finish this pocket off and just, you know, walk away from this fight. He doesn't need to take this fight. You know, he can actually finish everything off over here and get going. You can see Teclis too close to the Iron Drakes Trauma Torpedoes. Got to stay away here. Really has to stay away here, and then he gets out of the road, and you see now is going to sort of be a consolidation phase for the Dawi. Okay, this battle, win or lose, it's a loss, because the Dwarfs are never going to be able to support each other over here. So even if the Ironbreakers beat the Pure Main Company, which it looks like they're going to lose, because these archers are coming, and that's the problem of getting separated. There's no way to support each other. And you're going to see here, now there's going to be a bit of a stretch here, because, okay, the Mage has come back. He's going to try and find a way to get some shots in on the on these troops. Okay, so, okay, the Iron Drakes turn around. Whoa, let's get out of here. He's coming in here, and he's going to kind of get out. He's going to try and find a way to get some shots in on the Iron Drakes. And he was thinking about getting in there, but he's like, no, I don't need to. I'm going to find the fight, pick the fight where I want it, and make sure I win this. You can see, okay, there, the Ironbreakers have been routed, and now he's actually going to go and find a place to get here. He probably wants to build up a little bit of magic. He's got this High Mage skirting around the edges, and the Norgleman's Ironbreakers, the Iron Drakes Trauma Torpedoes, these Ironbreakers, and the Rune Lord really can't even catch anything, right? So that's, unless he actually hits that Master Rune of Wrath and Rune, and I think he's only got one left. I think you only used two, so I think he has one left. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe he has used all three, but you know, the Pure Main Company are just going to move into the side here. He's going to try and take some shots onto this Ironbreakers. Really, Still has to kill those Trollhammer torpedoes, and we're just going to speed this up a bit because this is a little bit of posturing. You can see here. So, what is a wizard lizard trying to do? You saw it in the beginning. He's trying to get around so he can square up to anything and get off those missiles. You can see he's just trying to find a spot to get that sidelong shot. And meanwhile, the Sisters of Avalon have been caught by the Rune Lord. This is kind of funny. Good job, but they've almost been caught. You can see really a wizard lizard is back into the woods here. And they got another shot with the Trollhammer torpedoes on Teclis. These Iron Drakes are so good. And so the wizard lizard trying to find a spot. So here he goes. These guys have 56 units left, down to 40. 16 Iron Breakers because he was able to position himself to get that sidelong shot in. So the Rune Lord is chasing. You can see he's getting pulled apart again. And these Iron Breakers have rallied, which is amazing because the Dwarfs are awesome. And so the Dwarfs are now okay. Now he's going to rally and say, all right, I'm going to be here. The Dwarfs, or the High Elves, they're really trying to figure out how they're going to rally so they can kind of get that one last big fight in. So there he's trying to get a vortex spell in. It's going to do some damage, but really not nearly as much as the magic missile spell. And he's just less about getting shot by the Iron Drakes, Trollhammer torpedoes. That's like tempting fate. So we're just going to watch until it's very, very close. He's just going to reposition, trying to get some more shots here. And now he's going to go ahead, and everything here is together. He's going to bring everything out and go for one last fight. You can see, and the Trollhammer torpedoes are getting some damage to the Sisters of Avalon. Nurgling's Iron Breakers are ready to fight. These Iron Breakers are ready to fight. And he pulls them back and gets another shot in here on the Nurgling's Iron Breakers with that magic missile. Beautiful shot from the side. Now he brings them all together. The Trollhammers are still fighting. He's kind of bring these guys in. And once they're in and have the Iron Drakes, then he can bring everybody in. So the Iron Drakes are still trying to shoot into the High Mage here. So he's got to be super careful. And now he's going to go and take this fight with the Rune Lord. He's going to try and get in there. And there, he's protected his Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes. Like, now he can actually, the Dwarf player can find a spot for him and actually get some shots in. So he's going to try and shoot into Teclis here. And this is exactly what you do. Even a tiny pocket like this, which allows you to support each other. Look at, he's getting really nice damage in on Teclis. Like, a Wizard Lizard is force pathing these archers through because he wants to get out of the Iron Drakes. The Iron Drakes have now been routed. So now he comes in with the High Mage. He's in with Teclis. He's in with everything. And the rest of the fight is just a brawl. You got Nurgling's Iron Breakers who are in with a pure main company. They do have armor piercing and everything. It really starts to rout here. It just starts to collapse at this point once those Trollhammers have shattered, and that is the game. So, really fun game to watch and super interesting to see a Dwarf player play against the Dwarf and understand really where the strengths are and to be able to pull the Dowie apart. And I think it's super instructive, A, for how you line up, B, for as a Dwarfs, like if you're going to bring a super powerful army like this, how important it is to keep this army together. And I would highly recommend, just for anyone who's watching this, who's like, man, how do you play this differently? Go to Aurora Boss's channel. Aurora Boss is my multiplayer coach and former #1 on ladder. One of the best players to ever pick up the game. And watch him play the Dwarfs. He plays with 3 Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes. You might have to go back. Like, the best games watching him are about a year and a half ago, which are my favorite games of his to watch, where he actually moves forward and moves around the whole map with his army, and he has 3 Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes, but he keeps them together in a nice tight formation so he can support himself the entire way. And you can see this was super close, even though he had a few magic missiles. 81 kills with that High Mage. Even though those magic missiles were pretty strong, it was still very close. And had he kept his army together, you can see those Trollhammer torpedoes wouldn't have been able to be charged like that, and they would have gotten a ton more damage. But Very, very nice play from awizardlizard, and nice use of the magic. Like, even with 40% magic resistance, that spell was really, really good. 81 kills, 8 with Techless, 2 and 2 with the Spearman, 7, 77, 22, and 63 with Pure Main Company, 67 with the Swordmaster of the Hoeth, 29 and 56 with the Archers, which is good considering they're not armor piercing, 23 with the Sisters of Avalorn, 1 and 44 with the Illyrian Reavers. Now 18 with the Rune Lord, 13 with the Peak Gate Guard, 26 with the Hammers, 65 with the Ironbreakers, 122 with these Hammers, 183 with these Ironbreakers. Very nice. 57 with the Hammers, 92 with the Norgelming's Ironbreakers, 11 and 47. So really fun, instructive fight to watch. And something that I think that all of us as Dwarf players can learn from. Now, when you bring tight builds like this, you either got to stick together and take the pounding, or, you do need to bring something that you can force them to come to you. Like a cannon would have done that in this case. I'm not saying bring a cannon with this build, or gyrocopters, or these types of things. And that's why you see Shetland Apache, he'll build really elite builds, bring like 2 gyrocopters or 2 cannons and stuff like that. But anyways, I absolutely love this game. Very instructive on, what you have to watch out for as the Dwarfs. And it's interesting to see a Dwarf player play against the Dwarfs. You see how differently that game is. It's really fascinating. Like, you watch all the other High Elf games on the channel where the High Elf players are not Dowie players, and they play completely differently. It is really interesting to watch. So anyways, with that said, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. What did you think of this game, this build, the tactics employed, and the end result? And have you been playing on ladder? What have been your results against the High Elves? I'd absolutely love to hear from you in the comments. With that said, I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you soon.